The little cloud that carried a message of hope. High above the quiet land where mountains touched the skies so grand, a little cloud began to drift, carried by a gentle lift. It was soft and small and white, floating through the morning light. Around it, larger clouds would glide like snowy ships across the sky. The little cloud looked down below, watching rivers twist and flow. It saw a village near a hill where every morning started still. It saw the gardens green and white and little homes tucked side by side. Yet something seemed unusual there. The village felt unusually bare. No children laughed beside the lane, no birds sang brightly after rain. The garden stood without their flowers, waiting through the quiet hours. The little cloud began to wonder, why does this beautiful place feel sad? A gentle breeze came floating near, whispering softly in its ear. The village has forgotten how to hope for better mornings now. The little cloud felt something deep, a tenderness it could not keep. I wish that I could help them somehow. The breeze smiled. Perhaps you can. The little cloud drifted lower, closer to the village tower. It saw an old gardener below, walking slowly row by row. He carried seeds inside his hand, but dry and cracked was all the land. He knelt beside an empty bed and shook his tired silver head. I planted flowers years ago, he whispered to the earth below, but nothing grows here anymore. Perhaps my gardening days are over. The little cloud felt a gentle ache, hearing the old gardener speak, gathered every drop of rain, hidden softly in its frame. Then slowly, quietly it cried, a little shower from the sky. From the sky, one drop fell, then two, then three. They touched the earth so patiently. The gardener looked up with surprise as rain began to fill the skies. He smiled a little rain. He planted seeds beneath the ground, then gently pressed the soil around. The little cloud drifted high once more, watching from above the door. The next morning, beneath the sun, the gardener saw the seeds had begun to open tiny leaves of green, the freshest leaves he had ever seen. He smiled for the first time in years and wiped away a few happy tears. The little cloud felt warm and bright. It had brought a little hope to light, but the village still seemed quiet. So the cloud continued on. Near the village school, it saw a boy who once had filled the halls with joy. Now he sat beneath a tree, holding a book upon his knee. He stared at every empty space, feeling trapped inside a cage. I don't know how to write, he said. Every good idea has left my head. The little cloud drifted above, remembering the gardener's love. It couldn't speak, it couldn't write, but it could change the morning light. The beam of sunlight crossed the cloud, turning its edges silver white. The boy looked upward from his book and watched the cloud with thoughtful eyes. It looks like a ship, he whispered. A ship sailing through the sky. He began to write a ship of clouds, a sea of blue, a little sailor brave and true. The little cloud smiled above, happy to inspire him with love. His empty page became a story filled with wonder, dreams, and glory. Soon the boy ran into the school, excited to share what he had made. His teacher read the stories slowly, then smiled with pride. You found your voice. The little cloud continued drifting. It saw a woman sitting alone beside a window in her home. She held an old photograph remembering someone from the past. Her heart felt heavy, her room was still. The evening wind moved past the hill. The little cloud passed overhead, painting the sunset gold and red. The woman looked toward the sky. A tiny smile appeared in her eyes. She remembered sunny afternoons, gardens filled with flowers in bloom, laughter beneath the summer tree, and someone smiling back at her. She whispered softly, "Thank you for the memories." The little cloud drifted onward, carrying a feeling in its heart. It had learned something important. Hope did not always arrive as something enormous. Sometimes hope was a little rain, sometimes it was a story, sometimes it was a beautiful memory, sometimes it was simply a patch of sunlight breaking through the clouds. As evening came, the village changed. The gardener watered his new green plants. The boy read his story aloud. The woman opened her window and let the evening breeze inside. And for the first time in many days, the village seemed to breathe again. The little cloud looked down proudly, but then the wind whispered, "There is still one more heart waiting for your message." The little cloud turned toward the distant hills and began drifting toward the place where the last light of evening was slowly disappearing. Beyond the village, past the hill where evening air was calm and still, the little cloud began to glide with golden sunset at its side. Below, a narrow winding road carried a traveler with a heavy load. He walked alone beneath the trees, listening to the evening breeze. His clothes were dusty from the way his footsteps slow from a tiring day. He had traveled many miles alone, searching for a place to call home, but every road had seemed to end before he found a faithful friend. The little cloud looked down with care and wished it could be waiting there. The traveler stopped beside a stone, feeling weary and very alone. "I don't know where this road will lead," he whispered softly. "I don't know what I need." The little cloud drifted overhead and remembered all the things it had seen. It gathered the last warm rays of sun and spread them across the road. The path began to glow, golden light touched the trees. The traveler looked up. For the first time that day he smiled. Perhaps it should keep going. He stood again, one step, then another and another. The little cloud followed quietly, never asking for thanks. Soon the road reached a small bridge over sparkling stream. On the other side stood a little house. A warm light shone through the window. The traveler hesitated. Then he heard laughter inside. A family was preparing dinner. The door opened. An elderly man stepped outside. "Are you looking for somewhere to rest?" The traveler nodded. The old man smiled. "Come inside." The little cloud washed from above. Its message of hope had found another heart, but the cloud still had one final journey. Later that night, it drifted toward the highest mountain. There, on a quiet hilltop, a young girl sat beneath the stars. She had a small notebook beside her. Her eyes were filled with tears. "I don't think I can do it," she whispered. She had dreamed of becoming a painter, but every picture she made seemed imperfect to her. She had begun to believe that perhaps her dream was too big. The little cloud floated above her. It looked at the moon, then it looked at the girl. Slowly the cloud moved across the moonlight. Its edges became silver, and the girl looked up. She saw a shape in the sky. It looked like a giant bird with wings spread wide. She smiled. She picked up her pencil. "Maybe I don't have to be perfect," she whispered. "Maybe I just have to begin." She opened her notebook. She drew the cloud, then the moon, then the mountain, then the little village below. She drew flowers, she drew trees, she drew people smiling. and finally she drew a tiny cloud floating above them all. The little cloud watched her draw until the stars became brighter. It felt a quiet joy inside. It understood its message had never been out about rain alone. It was about reminding people that tomorrow could be different, that a seed could still grow, that an empty page could still become a story, that a lonely heart could still remember love, that a tired traveler could still find a home, that an uncertain dream could still begin. The little cloud continued through the night. As it passed above the village, it saw something beautiful. The gardener's garden was beginning to bloom. Tiny flowers had opened beneath the morning's gentle rain. The boy's story had been placed on the classroom wall. The woman had invited her neighbor inside for tea. The traveler had found a warm bed, and the younger painter was still drawing beneath the moon. The cloud smiled. It had not changed the world. It had simply carried a little hope from one heart to another. Sometimes it brought rain, sometimes sunlight, sometimes a beautiful shape in the evening sky, but every message said the same thing: do not give up. The wind returned at dawn. You have traveled far, the breeze whispered. Are you tired? The little cloud smiled, a little, but I am happy. The breeze asked, what did you learn? The little cloud looked down at the sleeping village. I learned that hope does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly. It may look like rain on dry soil, a story on an empty page, a memory in a lonely heart, a welcoming door, or a cloud in the evening sky. The breeze carried the little cloud toward the rising sun. The sky began turning pink. Birds began to sing. The gardens opened. The river sparkled, and the little cloud continued its journey. It knew that somewhere ahead another person might need hope, another garden might need rain, another dream might need encouragement, another tired heart might need a little golden light. So the little clouds kept moving, not because it had all the answers, but because it had learned that even a small gift can become something beautiful. And whenever someone looked upward and saw a soft white cloud floating quietly across the blue, perhaps they would remember tomorrow is still coming. There is still time to begin. There is still something beautiful waiting beyond today. The little cloud drifted toward the horizon and soft and peaceful beneath the morning sun, and behind it, across a waking land, hope began to bloom. So that was the poem. Now, the message of the poem. Hope does not always arrive in a dramatic way. Sometimes it comes through the smallest things: a little rain, a kind word, a warm memory, a helping hand, or a moment of inspiration. The little cloud teaches us that we may not be able to solve every problem, but we can still bring something valuable to someone else's life. A small encouragement can help a dream begin. A small kindness can make a lonely person feel less alone. A gentle memory can bring comfort. A little patience can help someone try again. And sometimes simply reminding someone that tomorrow is another day can give them the strength to continue. So, whenever you feel that your contribution is too small, remember the little cloud. Never try to change the whole world. Simply carried its message of hope wherever it went. Be the rain when someone feels dry. Be the sunlight when someone feels lost. Be the gentle cloud when someone needs a reminder to keep dreaming. Because sometimes the smallest message of hope can help an entire heart begin to bloom. Hope you like the poem. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more soft spoken videos. Thank you.